Hey guys, this is Marissa and welcome back to my channel, The Budgeting Wife, where we talk about budgeting tips that will help you win with money. Today I have a guest on my channel. This is Frances, and if you missed our last video, I will go ahead and leave a link to it up above. We filmed a Q&A when it comes to being a stay-at-home mom, and so Frances is coming back and we are doing a video about budgeting tips for being a stay-at-home mom. So thanks for joining us again today, Frances.
Thank you.
If you are new to my channel and not yet subscribed, I'd love to have you as part of my YouTube family. You can scroll down and hit that subscribe button. And with that, let's get into it. So, Frances, what are these awesome budgeting tips that you have as a stay-at-home mom? I'm excited to hear them.
I think the first one that I kind of felt like was it's really hard to adjust to one income. So kind of one of the things that we still do, because we're still adjusting, I feel like even after staying home for 16 months, is we do a spending freeze every quarter. So that just means not spending in any of our unnecessary categories. So that would be like fun money and kind of like your, well, we still do date nights because that becomes kind of important when you have a kid. But like Starbucks, eating out, all of those things, like we just don't do any spending in that area. And then it kind of helps us just curb habits more than anything. It's not really so that we have more money necessarily in our bank account. It's more to break some habits that we had. And so we tried to start that before we had our first child, just so we could kind of get used to it a little bit. And we were just putting my last paychecks kind of right into savings and pretending they didn't exist. And just trying to break our habits, because we were eating out more than we thought we were, and we were getting Starbucks more than we thought we were, and I was buying clothes more. Just being at Target, you just end up buying some things. So,
girl, I get you.
And so I think that was kind of one of the first things that we did that has been really helpful, and we still do it every quarter just because we are finding that at the end of the months we're still barely squeaking by on our budget sometimes.
That's such a great tip, and I know that a lot of people do that. Whether or not, like, you know, you stay at home, like people do like a no spend November or something, and like, or things like where you just go through your pantry and eat up like everything that you have in your pantry, or like those sorts of things to cut costs. So that's awesome. All right, what's the next tip you have for us?
I think kind of our biggest struggle is groceries financially. So meal planning has been a huge one, and we just prefer to eat plant-based and organic when we can, but it's expensive. It's so expensive to try and eat healthy. So meal planning has been a huge lifesaver, and I try to think through also as I meal plan, I map out how much each meal is actually going to cost us to make, and then I try to keep that as close to $6 as possible. That's kind of been our number. But we have a couple favorites that are like $10. So I try to just do one of those a week and then mix in the cheaper ones. And then even at the end of the month, we're like, oh, shoot, we don't have enough money for dinner. So we'll do nacho nights and try and make it fun, or do like fancy grilled cheese with like yummy cheeses and spicy jam or whatever. So we try and make it fun when we're like, oops, we spent way too much money on groceries this month. But when we get to the end of the month, but meal planning for sure, because otherwise you end up throwing away a lot of food, or you end up popping into the grocery store again because you want to make something that you don't have all the supplies for.
Totally. I think like the zero food waste thing is huge, and I've seen so much when people just end up throwing away groceries that they didn't even open just because they are like now moldy or expired or something. So like meal planning is huge for that.
And it just becomes like a huge thing for feeding a family too. Like just as you add more people in, it can be it's really easy to overspend, especially on kids. Like they do need snacks, and so that was kind of the part of our grocery budget that we didn't anticipate because we weren't really snackers before. But I mean, kids are growing all the time, so that has been an adjustment to just thinking through, okay, how much do we spend on snacks a month, and then how do we feed our daughter healthy snacks, but that are also cost effective.
Totally. Okay, what other tips do you have for us?
I think also just when you stay home, you're kind of cooped up inside the house a lot. So it is important to get out and do something with your kid. And the first few months, I felt like I was just at Target like 50 times a week. So and that just isn't a great financial choice because I'm just like constantly putting myself in an area where I could spend money on
Starbucks and clothes.
Yes, there's always the Starbucks is like always open.
Yes.
So that's not helpful either. So I started trying to think through what are some like fun free things I could do with my daughter, and so that kind of and I try to do those weekly just so I kind of feel like, oh, we have a little bit of a rhythm, and also we're not trapped in the house. So we go to our local library story time, which is super cute, and it's free, and it allows my daughter to interact with other kids and to like just be somewhere other than being in our house and playing
Yeah.
somewhere. And then it allows me to have a little bit of adult interaction too, which is really fun. And then there's also indoor play parks that are super cheap and affordable. It just depends on your budget if you even have the $25 a month to spend there. And then we budget for a zoo membership throughout the year, and so we just save every month so we can pay it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been good too, because then I can just decide, oh, it's a zoo day, and then we can go to the zoo, but we don't have to worry about spending money necessarily when we get there.
That's so good. And then for those of you guys watching, we're in the Portland, Oregon greater area, so it's very rainy, and so I can only, like, I don't have kids yet, so I just can't imagine, like, it rains, like, 9 months of the year, and so finding all things that you can do, like, indoors is, like, crucial.
Yeah,
so.
And I have friends who, like, they go buy a 6-piece chicken McNuggets situation because the chicken is a little bit less sketchy, maybe. So then they'll have their kids play in the little play area. I can't do it with the 1-year-old yet, but that is another thing that I've had friends do. Summer is so much easier. You can just go outside and play. But during the winter and late fall, it's kind of brutal here in the Portland area.
Yeah, definitely. So what about when it comes to, like, date nights? Like, becoming a family of 3, like, how do you make that happen?
Yeah, I didn't realize until after we had a kid that when you do date night with the kid, a babysitter is another like $40 on top of your night out. So you go to a $40 dinner, you pay $40 for a babysitter, that's an $80 night, which is just not doable for us in our budget.
Yeah.
So we actually had a friend who started doing these date night swaps. So that was kind of, this has been our lifesaver. And basically, we do a later date night, so it's after bedtime. But on Friday night, I go over to their house, and I sit just in their living room, and I work on whatever I want, or read a book, and they go out on a date. And then I'm just there in case someone wakes up screaming or the house catches on fire or whatever. Nothing happens. And then on Saturday night, one of them, they come over to our house, and they sit with our kids. So we just swap. So we don't pay for a babysitter, and it is a later date night, but it allows us both to get a date and not have to worry about the financial cost, and also not burden someone with, like, another parent with other kids. Once you're a parent, you're like, I really don't want to take care of someone else's kids. It just doesn't sound appealing to me. So that parent gets to just kind of hang out. Yeah,
that's such a fun and creative way to, like, solve that problem. Because daycare, like, just having a babysitter, I know it's, like, just not cheap.
And it's harder for grandma to do a later night. No offense to the grandmas. You're just done with that. When you're that age, you don't want to hang out really late. And my mom has said that. She doesn't love to stay really late at night, so we try and sparingly use her in that case and make sure that she gets to do, like, actual time with our daughter and then do bedtime. But in this case, it's like we don't have to worry about it. We put our daughter down, and then we get dressed and head out around 8 o'clock.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then as a stay-at-home mom, do you have any tips on, like, how you just are able to take care of yourself with that? Because I'm sure you don't get a lot of alone time.
Yeah, I think that can be, it's really hard to break out of the, like, feeling like you're just a stay-at-home parent mindset. So we have kind of put a few things into our budget that just make sure I feel like a grown-up that isn't just a mom. And so for me, that, like, is I get Starbucks probably once a week, and then I just have a budget for that. And then also I have a budget for going out with friends, like, kid-free a couple of times a month at least. And then I also have a little bit of a spa budget too that I can use every month. So those are kind of things that became important to me, and my husband valued it enough too that he felt like, no, these need to be part of our budget since you spend so much time in the mom world. So that has been kind of, I can tell when I don't take advantage of those parts of our budget because I just feel more tired or I feel kind of lost and foggy in that mom world.
And that's what I love, like, what I'm always saying on my channel is, like, a budget gives you permission to spend.
Totally.
And even if you just allow yourself just those little things, like a Starbucks once a week, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much, but if it's going to make you, like, just feel a little bit better, then like, spend the few dollars on Starbucks once a week. So,
for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, so I think that's been kind of, and my husband even has a little bit of a budget that's like I'm not just a dad kind of budget too. And so, that goes both ways.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, it's easy to get caught up in spending your money oriented towards your kids. And so kind of being able to invest in your marriage too is really important.
Yeah. That's great.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Frances, for being here and sharing with us these awesome budgeting tips.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Don't forget to check out the last video that we did. I will leave a link in the description box below. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. And leave us a comment down below and let us know what is one budgeting tip that you have used if you are a stay-at-home parent. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye, guys.